of the month. Hi, I'm Shawn King. This is Your Mac Life. I used the wrong music. Hey, folks. How you doing? It's me, Shawn. Remember me? The goofy Canadian? I'm back. Thank you guys very much for joining us here on this head. The first show we've done in over a month, the longest hiatus ever for the Your Mac Life show. In the 21 years I've been doing this is the longest I've been away. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I had a good reason. I think I had a good reason. I had dental stuff done. I had teeth pulled out, a lot of teeth pulled out. Thank you very, very much to everyone who donated, contributed to the GoFundMe campaign. Thanks very much to our good friend John Binky Welch, who suggested the idea to me. I hadn't even considered it, haven't gone to my small caveman brain. I guess about a month and a half ago, this started to happen, and I thought, oh God, how am I going to be able to afford this? And thanks to, in large part, in huge part, John Gruber. Grubes, thanks very much, buddy. I can't ever thank you enough. We had raised, in the first few days, raised about $5,000 for this. The problem was, the first dentist I went to was awful. Just said, okay, I'm going to pull them all out. Whoa, wait, that's my only option? Second dentist I went to said, no, we can save some of this. We can make this better for you. But it's going to cost you. And so we started the GoFundMe campaign, and the Your Mac Life audience very generously got us up to $5,000 with only a couple of days. But Gruber mentioned it, and then inside of a week, we got stupid amounts of money. And that's good, because with more money comes more options. If you've only got a limited amount of money, you go to, and a lot of folks gave me suggestions about this, you could go to your local butcher, have him pull them out. You go to a bad dentist. You go to a local dental school. Dental schools will often take in patients who don't have the money to pay the full price for a dentist. And while you have students work on you, there are still dental professionals there to make sure they do it properly. It's not like the students are going to go, what does this do? And yank stuff out of your head. It's not going to happen. It won't be as comfortable. It'll be a lot more painful. Then the other option is just to go and you get your teeth pulled out and get dentures. But this dentist said that there's enough bone mass left in my jaw that if I'm a good boy, in 9 months, he can put in implants, which are basically permanent teeth. But he's not going to do that until the gums what
have healed.
So that voice over there was Kim. Say hi, Kim.
Hi. Sorry.
It's okay. Until these gums have healed, I have to go back in and again in a month, and then in either 6 or 9 months, depending on the progress of this, to see whether this is really interesting. I think this was very interesting of him to say this. To make sure the gums have healed and healed properly, but also to make sure that you're taking care of the teeth that you have left. I thought it was really interesting of him to say, because he said, there's no point in me putting implants in if you're not going to take care of them. If you're going to go back to the same old ways of not brushing and not coming to see us on a regular basis, there's no point in you spending all the money on implants. He could have very easily gotten dollar signs in his head and gone, I'm going to put in 10 implants in this guy, $2,500 a piece, and put my kid through college. He could have said that, but he didn't. And I really admire him for that. He had a chance to make a buttload of money off of me. But this, nonetheless, is still expensive. This is still a lot of money. The other problem is I didn't realize this until I started talking about it. The GoFundMe money, again, thank you all very, very much for contributing, is now income. So I got to claim this on my income tax next year, and then I got to pay taxes on top of it. So I have to leave some of the money aside to pay for implants in 9 months, and then some of it aside to pay for whatever income tax I'm going to get hit with in 12 months, next April. So it's going to be at least a year before I know how much of this money is being spent, is left over. And the plan is, whatever extra money is left over, to start giving it back to the GoFundMe community, to other folks who have the same sort of dental issues. There's all kinds of folks on GoFundMe who have similar issues to mine and don't have a great group of friends and an audience and a Gruber that I do. So I'm going to be giving back a lot of that money back to those folks and helping them out in whatever small way I can. But again, thank you all very much for the contributions. And I cannot say this enough. Go see your dentist. Make a dentist appointment. Go see him. Work something out with your dentist to pay for whatever it is, because you don't want this to happen. Just the pain of this you don't want to have happen, but the shame of it, the humiliation, the embarrassment, you don't want to have happen. I didn't do the show for the past month because I look like a hillbilly vampire. These front teeth are fake. I got 2 teeth right there. I got 1 right there. That's it. So imagine you've lost all the teeth in your upper jaw, except for 2, and you literally look like a hillbilly vampire. You don't want to have that happen in your life. So go see your dentist. I just mentioned her. Let's bring her in here. It's my co-host, Kim. Hey, Kim.
Hello.
How you doing? You were off today. You were out and about today doing stuff.
I was
doing
up
roadwork stuff.
Highway 1, the Canyon, which is north of Hope, BC, on the way to Boston Bar. I was actually in a little place called Spuzum.
Which is the joke?
I don't know, Beyond Hope.
The joke in British Columbia is always, where's Spuzum? It's Beyond Hope. There's a town called Hope, and the next town over is called Spuzum. Spuzum must be an Indian name.
It's unincorporated. Yeah, it is. It's a band.
Spuzum is unincorporated.
Yeah, it's
I
a
didn't
band.
know that. I didn't know
native
that.
band. Yeah, so I was out there with the bridge crew, concrete bridge deck patching.
You weren't actually patching stuff. What were you doing?
No, watching them.
Why are you watching them?
Because that's my job. I'm quality control manager, so I go and watch them and make sure they follow the correct work method and they use the right materials, and it's a good end product.
They must hate you.
They love me.
Why?
Because I'm awesome and I'm me.
There's that. That's true. Our friend Dean Martin said he asked around here and was told GoFundMe funds are a gift and not taxable. Interesting. I'll have to find that out. Dave, it may be different up here in Canada. That's the thing. With obviously different taxation things. Mosquito says, President wife and I don't have a dental plan, so we might need to go that way. UI Dental College. If nothing else, talk to a dentist, build a relationship with them, and say, what's the plan we can do? Do a payment plan to pay $100 a week or a month or whatever it might be. Do something, because again, you don't want to leave this for 10 years like I did, and have teeth literally fall out of your head. You don't want this to happen. So do something. Figure something out.
And floss. It's amazing how many people forget that, and I'm guilty of it too. But that's what makes all the difference.
Oh crap!
What are you crapping at?
I forgot to hit the record button again.
Oh.
Even though I have to think.
Well,
Anyway,
it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while, exactly. So we won't have Downfall on the show tonight. We don't. I don't know how long we'll talk. This is the longest I've spoken in any one period of time since I had the temporary plate put in. Mosquito. Oh, it's still you, Shawn. I know. I even have a thing that pops up that says hit record. I didn't even hit. So we're not going to have Jim Downfall on the show. I don't know how long I can talk. I haven't spoken for any length of time since I had the dentures put in. But it's very interesting. You guys are all saying, everyone in the IRC chat room said, you don't hear a difference in the sound of my voice.
No, the sound of your voice is exactly the same.
To
Occasionally you get the little that's it. Occasionally.
Yeah.
But that's it.
To me, I'm in my own head, I sound like crap. I'm not pronouncing words the way I think I should be and think I have in the past. So that's interesting. You guys don't hear and one of the things is, we've talked about this before, most of us hate the sound of our own voices. And people don't realize why. It's because when you hear your voice recorded, you're hearing it completely differently. When you're talking, you the air through your ears, but through the jaw, through the bones of your skull. That's why your voice sounds different to you when it's recorded versus when you're speaking. And we all go, "Ooh, I don't," because it's a completely different sound. But that's not it. The timbre of my voice still sounds the same as I expected it to. It feels like the Oral-B.
Oh, I thought you were going to say your teeth. Hopefully they're
No,
in your hand.
no, I would never ask you that. Never ever ask you that. The dentist suggested this really cool, not suggested, no, he didn't actually suggest toothbrush.
Water
Mm,
pick, but I don't like it. I'm old-fashioned, old school, old school.
you don't you don't like electric for what reason?
I don't know.
Just because it's
I
different?
Yeah.
She's apt at saying just no to everything.
Yeah, I'm good at saying no.
So it's just a regular everyday electric toothbrush. You know, you push the button and the top bit. And I've never had a real big problem with electrics. The issue I have is that sometimes when you get the metal bit touching your teeth or bone in your skull. But this was really interesting because it's got an app, like everything does. And so when you start, I'll push the button. When you start brushing, wrong button. When you start brushing, see how the app is going to, any second now, see, it starts timing it. So it times you because you're supposed to brush for minutes. And so the app will let you know how long you've been brushing. It will let you know how long you've been brushing various quadrants of your mouth. It will also remind you to floss. It will also remind you to brush your tongue. It will also remind you to change brush heads. And there's, I think, 4 or 5 different brush heads for this thing. And the other weird thing about the app, and I thought this was really strange when I first started using it, and then I actually got used to it, is you see at the bottom, it has a news feed. So as you're brushing, it gives you the daily news and temperature and weather and all kinds of other things like that. There's video news and photo news, and it's kind of strange. There's news about the World Cup. You don't have to touch it as you're brushing. The news items come by on the screen, which is kind of neat because what it does, for me, what it does is longer than I was expecting. At first, I brushed naturally, and I realized, oh, I'm only brush for about a minute. So using this, it made me brush longer than the news bits because I'm a news junkie. I was brushing for 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Like, oh, this is kind of interesting. Look at that. This is kind of interesting. The other thing you learn very quickly with an electric toothbrush is don't take it out of your mouth while it's still spinning.
Mm-hmm. That's what some of the guys were saying in the chat room.
Because you get toothpaste everywhere. You only do that once or twice. And the other problem with electric I never had with a regular brush, you drool a lot. I don't know why electrics make you drool more. So you're brushing, I guess because this isn't making a seal with your mouth, all of a sudden you get toothpaste running down your face.
Nice.
Which is kind of strange. But this was, I think it's 200 Canadian at Walmart. They're only 140 at my dentist. It's kind of cool. It's a little travel case with it, and again, the brush heads are removable. There's different brush heads for different teeth and different things that you want to do. So I guess the important thing is at least brush for at least 2 minutes. Use a Siri timer or whatever you need to do. That's the important thing, according to the dentist, is that you brush all 4 quadrants for at least 2 minutes in total. So that's 30 seconds inside and out, upper right, upper left, lower right, lower left. MacMan says he's been using a Sonic Care for months. Mosquito says I look like a rabid dog when I brush. Mosquito my tongue. Yeah, brushing your tongue is more of a bad breath thing. Than I think, well, that's a little hot. Matt, have you made the mistake of opening your mouth with a toothbrush? Yeah, absolutely. Just because I'm an idiot. I did. And so now it's like, oh, Jesus, I was stupid. The other cool thing about the app is that it keeps statistics for you. So it lets you know how long you brushed for that day, for that week, and then for the month. And it keeps track with these little numbers. So you see, I brushed, and it's wrong sometimes because there's a couple times here it says I only brush once a day, but I've brushed at least twice a day since I started going through all this stuff. But it tells you your total brushing sessions and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of neat. Like I said, it gamifies brushing your teeth, which is kind of cool. So yeah, we won't have Jim Downpour on the show tonight. It'll be probably a shorter show, probably going to go for another half an hour. I can feel this is not as, I'm sorry, I'll get used to it. But as I said during the pre-show, a lot of saliva is being built up. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, we got better. What are you laughing at?
It's not your prostate life, yeah.
No, we're not. That's never going to happen. Never doing your prostate show. I have to have that exam done too.
But we are doing a prostate ride on Sunday.
Yes, we are.
For charity.
We're doing a charity ride. Kim on her new Harley. She's very proud of that. I'm doing a charity ride here in Vancouver for prostate cancer, to support prostate cancer. It's interesting, the motorcycling community seems to do a lot more of these than any other community, riding community. More so than the Mustang Club or the Corvette Club or things like that. Motorcycle folks, there's probably some sort of charity event going on every Saturday, Sunday from now until probably
end of riding season.
Here in Vancouver. That's October. You all heard of the Toys for Tots stuff, but there's all kinds of other events that are on for any number of things. Shawn, perhaps an overt note of thanks to why helping you troubles might be in order. So what else we can do in the show? Yes, you are correct. Overt is the right way. I couldn't have done it without support of her. I absolutely couldn't have done it without you telling me it was okay.
Yeah.
But
you were good.
I didn't have anything to be ashamed about. I did.
You had good positive attitude.
And funny you say that because I did not believe that whatsoever.
You did?
I think I was positive at all.
You stayed positive. Yes, you did.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. But yes, thank you very much for your support.
You're welcome.
All right. There, you happy now, Mo? Ass kisser. Jesus Christ. Don't like that guy. Oops. Something else we had to announce or talk about or say something about? Take care of the woman who takes care of you, noodlehead. Yes. You're you.
Yes, you should mention what's his name, the guy that suggested
Binky.
GoFundMe. You did in your pre thing, but not on the show.
Didn't I?
No, I think it was in the pre. Yes, Dave D.
Doesn't matter. I'll do it again. I couldn't have done this either without the idea from Binky, John Welch, who suggested the GoFundMe campaign. I had never even crossed my mind because I thought I'd talked about this already. One of the issues is this stuff is expensive, and I didn't have the money for it. There was no way I was able to afford even the relatively short-term minor stuff I've gone through in the last month. Couldn't have afforded it. So Binky's suggestion to GoFundMe and then me doing it was like, wow, mind-blowing. It was fantastic. And also a huge thanks to John Gruber. Because of Gruber's support, his audience, complete stranger for the most part, donated a huge amount of money, insane amounts of money. The YML audience donated enough in the first 2 days to make it really easy to make a better choice. But the Gruber audience made it incredibly easy to go into dentist.
To do proper long-term.
Do proper long-term. Go to the dentist. Yeah. Okay, what do I got to do to fix this? Well, the cheapest. No. Tell me how to fix this. Don't worry about cheap. And the doctor didn't even go, oh. He was like, okay, here are your options from cheapest to most expensive to short-term to long-term to get it done to good quality of life type stuff. So the GoFundMe campaign, the YML audience, and the Gruber audience have made it possible for me to look to the dentist and say, what's the best quality of life thing I can do? And it made a huge difference. The biggest difference it made, folks, was peace of mind. It was no stress. It was knowing I didn't have to scrimp and save and not ride my motorcycle. That was something I was going to do. I was going to save on gas and maintenance and tires, gear, and all that kind of stuff. To eat ramen noodles for the next year, 3 meals a day. Got to do that. Don't got to do all that kind of stuff. So our quality of life has, if nothing else, remained the same, and will get better as these teeth get better. Monty, and incredible, he says, he wrote about me because, to be honest, and from what I can be, I didn't think of Gruber as a friend. He was a colleague. He was an acquaintance. He was a guy that I interviewed, 10 years ago, well before before Daring Fireball got started. He was just thinking would be a Daring Fireball. He had written something online, and I interviewed him about it. And so I like Gruber. He can be a bit pompous at times, but so can we all, especially those of us who are in this position in the so-called media. But overall, I like the guy. I think he's a smart guy. He's a very, very smart guy. I'm jealous of his connections. I'm jealous of his success. But that I mean jealous in a good way. I'm pissed that he's never invited me on his show, asshole. But for him to write all those kind words brought tears to my eyes. I was just completely blown away. The funny thing was, you and I had gone. I started the GoFundMe campaign on a Monday morning, and then a Tuesday evening, we'd gone out for Tuesday. We'd gone for a ride after Kim came home from work, and I get home, and on iMessage, I got my friend Vito Mori up in Prince George. I think Mosquito was also mentioned, but a bunch of folks on iMessage going, "Oh my God, have you seen your GoFundMe campaigns?" Like, what's going on? Gruber mentioned you. I was like, what do you mean Gruber mentioned me? Did he do something on Twitter? So I went on my Twitter account and didn't see anything from Gruber. I said to one of the people, I said, "Where did you see this?" "Oh, it's on Daring Fireball." So I went and read the article on Daring Fireball. and was just like, "Oh my God, I can't believe what he wrote." Heartfelt and sincere and wonderful. There's no other way to describe it. And this is Gruber. I immediately sent him an email saying, "Dude, thank you very much. I can't thank you enough." I haven't heard back from him. What a dick.
He did his thing. He did what he wanted to do.
What a dick.
Cool guy.
But he's fun to talk to. He's fun to sit down with. Interesting to do. And again, very, very smart. Probably one of the smartest in the Macintosh community. So thanks very much to John Binky and Mosquito says he swooped in to protect blog ban. Gruber is as arrogant as his work requires him to be. That's okay. I find him generally in the pink one. Go ahead.
No, they just commenting. They like seeing the penguins in the background. And
What penguins?
Yeah, you love
penguins.
Penguins. No, it's not a fetish.
A fetish is sexual. I have no sexual feelings towards my penguins. I just like penguins. I just think they're cute. That's the one with the iPad. The iPod.
Pod.
Very cute. I can't remember who sent me that one. There's one here.
That's Gromit's.
That's Gromit's penguin, and a bunch of little penguins. We should put the other penguins there, the bowling penguins.
Oh, yes, we should.
I've got Christmas tree ornament penguins. I used to have a giant. I used to have a 3-foot tall emperor penguin.
That'd be cool.
I don't know whatever happened to him. Whatever happened to that guy? Anyway, yeah, it's not a fetish. Stop it. Let's talk about some news. This is interesting. This can be interesting to see how Kim reacts to this, because she's not a techie. She's not a Mac person. Is that your first time using a Mac?
Yes.
Anything right away, good, bad, or negative about it? We're going to get your thoughts about using a Mac, being a Mac, and becoming a Macintosh person.
No, I'd like it. I mean, I I like it because it's clean, clean lines. But
okay.
Yeah.
So over the weekend, well-known British author Stephen Fry, you know who Stephen Fry is, right?
Yes.
Stephen Fry wrote an article. He had come to Cupertino to talk to Tim Cook and Johnny Ive, and he broke some news that Johnny Ive got a new job title. Rather than the vice president of something, he was now promoted to chief design officer, relinquishing his day-to-day managerial duties to two new VPs, Richard Howarth, and
Howarth.
Howarth and Alan Dye. I think I'll give you that because one of them is British. The new guys are basically been elevated in the hierarchy of Apple to take over the day-to-day duties of Johnny Ive. If you remember that New Yorker article that was posted about a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago, I've talked about how much work he had to do. He's now not only the designer of the physical product, but he was also the designer of the software now too, both iOS and the Mac OS. It's a lot of work for one guy, especially one guy who works for a company who both the company and the guy are such perfectionists. Everything has to be, there's no half measures at Apple. They never do anything halfway. So some people read into that and this a little too much. Some folks are saying this is, I think it was 9 to 5 Mac said that this is Jonathan Ive's step out the door. This is him getting ready to leave Apple. I don't think that's what this is all about. I think if Johnny Ive is going to leave Apple, he'd just leave Apple. He would move up in stages until he's just the design guy and then leave Apple. If he's going to leave after the Apple Watch was announced and shipped, that was the time he was going to leave Apple. If he's ever going to leave for whatever reason, he's obviously going to leave at some point. He may die in the office, but he may decide that he wants to spend more time with his kids or start a new company, whatever it might be. But in the short term, I think what this means is that Jonathan Ive is going to be the chief design officer and not have to worry about the little stuff that he had to worry about before. He's handed this stuff off to two other guys who would be the day-to-day managers. If you think of design at Apple as its own company, Johnny Ive is now the CEO of design at Apple. He's the big brain. He's the big thinker, the boss. And he's delegated the day-to-day stuff to these other two guys. One of the things that I've said to Stephen Fry was that this is going to give him the opportunity to travel more. And someone else came up with the idea, well, this means he's going to move back to England, quit his job, move back. No. Travel more does not mean move to England. Guys like Ive, and I got to believe most designers, need and want inspiration. And they get it from various places. Some folks can get inspiration in their backyard. Some folks get inspiration from art. Some folks get inspiration from walking in the forest. I think Ive is one of those guys that gets inspiration from being out in the world. I think he really likes going to conferences and traveling and obviously being British, likes being back home in Britain, likes being in Europe in general. I think he takes design cues and inspiration from literally around the world. And being at one infinite loop by the day-to-day managerial tasks don't him to travel and get that inspiration. In 6 months, Johnny Ive is going to get a design conference in Singapore. And you'll hear about him doing something in Africa. He'll be around the globe getting inspiration, not only for him, but also for the company and for the other people in it. So keep an eye on this story. I don't read too much into it, though. Like I said, the promotion is mostly, in my opinion, literally just a promotion. He's going to get more money from Apple, and what happens at Apple when you get promoted. But he's not leaving the company, in my opinion. I don't think he's going to be leaving Apple anytime soon. I do honestly believe that he loves the company. I do also honestly believe, reading the things that he said, that he feels an obligation to Steve Jobs, to the memory of Steve Jobs, to continue the work that the two of them started at Apple. And I don't think Ive is going to be happy with just what he's done at Apple. I think he wants to do more. Now, what more is going to be? I don't know. Will more be a car? I don't think so, but it might. Will more be new devices? Yes, I do believe that. But I don't think he's leaving the company. As Monty says, the biggest thing is he gets new business cards and a much bigger check. What else we got going on this past week in the world? The folks at Recode did their code conference, have been doing it this week, and they had Apple's Jeff Williams. What is his job title? Vice President of Operations. He said at the code conference, the native watch folks who aren't familiar with what SDK means, it means development kit. If you want to create software for someone's device, you have to use it's easier to use their software development kit, which is basically the rules of creating software. There's a software development kit for iOS devices, a software development kit for the Macintosh, a software development kit for the Apple Watch, as William said, will be revealed at WWDC next month. To me, the interesting part about that story is that he says the Apple software development kit will give developers direct access to the sensors on the Apple Watch. That is really interesting to me. What that means is Apple is opening up the kimono, as the saying goes, to developers to, rather than have to go through Apple's apps in order to access the sensors, the heartbeat, and those kinds of things, they'll be able to do it directly. And what does that mean? Well, it means, in general, more people will be able to use those sensors. And they'll be able to use them in ways that Apple probably hasn't thought of. Let's say, for example, there's 200 people at Apple working on coding things for the Apple Watch. Well, there's roughly 1 million people who want to code for the Apple Watch. 200 people come up with 200 ideas. 1 million people come up with 1 million ideas. Not all the ideas are going to be good, but not all of Apple's ideas are good too. But what's going to happen is 3 months to 6 months after the WWDC, we're going to start seeing how these very, very clever developers will start using this SDK in ways that Apple hasn't done, possibly hasn't thought of, or hasn't wanted to do. I don't know what those are going to be. I know it means that they'll have access to the monitor, which might give them more incentive to develop apps, or we're going to see an app, I know we're going to see, where when you start texting a loved one who has an Apple Watch, the heart rate thing will start, the tap engine will start tapping on your wrist, so you know they've started to type to you, which is kind of neat. So you're sitting there at your office, you're working away, and rather than right now, you hear the bing of iMessage, and you look up and you read the iMessage. When the person starts typing, this starts tapping, you'll know, oh, so-and-so is about to send me a message. And it's the anticipation of the message, which is kind of cool to me. And a bunch of other things. And that's just one thing I've heard of. There'll be a whole bunch of them. So it's good that Apple's opening up to developer community. June 12th is the keynote for the Worldwide Developer Conference. Obviously going to be by Tim Cook. And remember, though, we say this every year, WWDC is for developers. But the primary reason, and I tell Kim this, the Worldwide Developer Conference is like every other computer conference, except any developer conference is focused on the guys who create the software for the company's devices. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be a bunch of programmers there creating software who want to create software for the iPhone, who want to create software for the Macintosh, and who want to create software for the Apple Watch. And what they do is they come and they meet Apple employees, other coders, developers, not marketing people, not product managers, but guys who are actually coding stuff. And they can sit down with them and go, dude, I'm having a problem with this. How do I fix this? And the Apple guy can say, well, you can't do it that way. You have to do it this way. They'll learn about new rules that Apple has for software too. It's like, okay, guys, you used to be able to do this, you can't do this anymore. And the guy will say, but that's how I make my app. Well, here's a different way to do it. It's where the really real nitty-gritty work of software comes. There will be a bunch of public announcements. There will be some products announced, probably a new Apple TV. That's not what the conference is for. The conference isn't for us as consumers. It really isn't for average Joes who use Macs, who use iPhones, who use the Apple Watch. It's for those developers who want to code and make money off the Macintosh. So keep that in mind as we hear about WWDC in the next little while. How many of you guys, send me an email. I forgot to mention this. Been away for a month, but our email hasn't changed. Still on air at yourmaclifeshow.com or during the week, Shawn at yourmaclifeshow.com. Or if you want to email, the pretty one, that one over there, Kim at yourmaclifeshow.com. How many of you got an Apple Watch? It's been a month and a half, almost 2 months now since it was announced, released. How many of you gotten your Apple Watch? How many of you have ordered an Apple Watch but haven't gotten it yet? How many of you haven't gotten an Apple Watch but want to get an Apple Watch? How many of you will not get an Apple Watch? Have your thoughts and opinions of the Apple Watch changed in the last 2 months?
No, I still want one. It's just too expensive.
No.
Yeah.
Especially here in Canada. I mean, it's $700 for an Apple Watch here in Canada. That's not cheap.
No.
That's really expensive. I don't know if that was that for the base version up here in Canada? Or was that for the stainless steel one?
Yeah, that was not the total sport. It was the stainless steel with the
sport band.
Sport band.
So the stainless steel, the nice stainless steel with a sport band, with a cheap band, for us here in Canada, is $700. I can't justify that. I can't see myself spending that kind of money. Now, don't get me wrong. I see the value in the Apple Watch for a lot of people. But I think for me, the value comes from you and I having one for the heartbeat thing, for the communication aspects of it, the drawing little pictures, for the exercise aspect of it. Interesting article, and I rarely say this, interesting article from Marco Arment over at marco.org about filling the green circle. And it's really kind of a neat article from Marco talking about how the green circles are getting him to exercise more. And what I mean by the green circles, for those who may not be familiar with the Apple Watch, just can't pull this up. We can't. New local desktop. Desktop presenter. Save settings. Oops. Click window. Hang on, folks. All right, now try it. Change audio. There we go. So what Marco is talking about is those yellow and green and red circles that pop up on your Apple Watch when you exercise. One is, I believe, for standing. One is for calories. And one is for exercise. And apparently he's gotten really into making sure that he fills up his little circles, all three of his little circles, every single day. And the article is interesting because he talks about how he'll go walking more than he did in the past simply to fill up the green circles. And he'll go in different routes He takes his dog with him, and it's an interesting article. I think that was Apple's goal,
Mm-hmm.
and it was certainly something I thought about when I first saw the Apple Watch. That watch for triathletes may not be the watch for hardcore marathoners, but I think it's the fitness we ever do much now. The geeks, the sedentary folks like myself, and even you, I mean, you're not as active as you should be. None of us are, for the most part. You know, Kim is not out of shape by any way, shape, or form. I've got a perfectly good shape too. It's round. When I say that's just rude. What are you going to be like that for? Well, what should you have said?
That's right.
Christ.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, but
what you should have said was, "No, honey, you're not round."
Yeah, let's get off you and go back to
God.
the Apple Watch. And I said that because when people were complaining that, oh, I don't think it's going to be accurate enough and blah, 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 it doesn't matter. It's a starting point, and like he says, you just want to fill up your circle. Keep it real simple, but it means he's doing more than he was doing a month ago.
And it turns out the Apple Watch is quite accurate. Its heartbeat monitor is very, very accurate. Its step monitor is very accurate. I don't know about calories. I haven't read much about that. But certainly heartbeat and step counter are very accurate. I've read several stories about that, where they've contrasted and compared the mill and in real life. It's very, very accurate. But that's what for the green circles. That will do exactly what Marco was talking about, exactly what I thought it would do, is you look at your 5 o'clock in the afternoon and see that, say the exercise thing was 3/4 full.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you know what? I'm going to go mow the lawn.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or I'm going to go walk around the block.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to go play fetch with the dog.
Right.
Or play with the kids. Something. I think
it's a good thing.
It certainly is a good thing, because there's out for 2 hours every single day to get healthier. What all doctors recommend is something for 30 minutes a day. Get your heart rate up a little bit. Doesn't be 200 beats a minute, but get your heart rate up a little bit for 30 minutes a day. And it's actually, it turns out the more out of shape you are, easier that is to do.
Yeah, your heart rate goes.
Your heart rate gets a lot faster, a lot sooner.
Yeah.
You know, if you're a core athlete and say your resting heart rate's 40 or 50, which is not unusual, to get it up to 100 is really hard. Blob. Get my heart up to 100, takes this. There we go. You know, it doesn't take much. So it wouldn't take that much activity. And 30 minutes of activity a day, combined with a more sensible diet, with cutting back, not down or off, some of the crappy food we all eat, can make a difference, can absolutely make a difference. I've been using this little app. Again, it's a free app, MyFitnessPal, from Under Armour, the company. And it's one of those cool, enjoy my beard, don't ask me again, go away. What it does is it keeps a diary of the food you've eaten over time. So you give it your stats, your height, your weight, your age, and your goals. So I told it I weigh 245 pounds, and I want to weigh 210 pounds in 6 months. So it says, okay, based on who you are, here's the number of calories you can eat a day. We'll give you credit for calories that you burn in exercise. And it's got a huge database of food in it. My favorite snack are 2 Nutri-Grain bars, which are probably good for me, and 10 Biscoff cookies, which are probably not.
No.
But what I discovered was the cookies aren't as bad as I thought they were. I would have 10. Everyone I would dunk in my coffee. I dunk them and eat them. So I sit here, bars, dunk them and eat them. But if I cut back to just 8 of them, I'm below my calorie limit for that meal. Okay. Rather than having 10 cookies, I'm having 8 cookies. And then in a month's time, 2 months' time, maybe I'll have 6 cookies. You know, cut back on a banana or an orange, whatever it might be. That's the other thing about getting new teeth. I can eat apples again. I haven't eaten an apple in 10 years. And I thought it was apples. Well, no, it's because my mouth hurt when I chewed apples. So it doesn't take a lot of effort for health and fitness, your weight. You don't have to work really hard at it. You can for 6 months and see what kind of difference it makes. The MyFitness app lets me put in my weight on a daily basis. So, and daily, weekly, whatever it is, you weigh yourself. So for a month, I'm going to eat fairly normally and see how many times I'm over my calorie limit, how many times I'm below it. Generally my daily eating, fitnesspal.com is the website if you want to check it out. Mosquito says we use these for handy portable protein for when we might miss a meal. Epicbar.com. It's a good idea. I've been trying to get you to do that, is to carry around little snack bars just for when you get hungry. And what happens is you don't eat lunch and you're starving at supper time. You just have a huge plate of food that you stuff into your face. And you go sit on the couch the rest of the day.
Yeah, I know.
That's not what you're supposed to do.
No.
You should eat small. If you have to, eat more smaller meals, 4 or 5 meals a day that are just smaller meals to take the edge off. And then you're not getting home and you're starving and you eat like 4 pounds of rice. You binge eat, exactly. So if you get a chance to read that article from Marco Ament, Filling the Green Circle, it's pretty cool. I like it. And, oh yeah, and 9 to 5 Mac, what Johnny Ive's promotion to Chief Design Officer really means? Sweet all. Doesn't mean anything. Really, kids, I don't think it's going to mean a damn thing. I'm going to wrap things up here with an interesting story. I don't know how many of you folks believe in ghosts or supernatural or stuff like that. There is a book I read when I was a kid. I was 10 years old. First of all, obviously I had a bad mother, because why are you letting 10-year-old reading ghost stories? Don't let a 10-year-old kid read stories called Blue-Nosed Ghosts. Oh my God, it was scary. True.
Oh.
This wasn't a book of the fiction.
Oh, it's like a history.
Yeah, it's a history of the superstitions of Nova Scotians called Blue-Nosed Ghost by Dr. Helen Creighton. It's available on Amazon.com. I should post it up on our Amazon list. And I found out later in life, most maritime people, fishermen, sailors, are very superstitious. Yeah, superstitious. So she was a famous folklorist in the 50s in Nova Scotia, and she had been going around collecting folk songs. And apparently while she was sitting around talking to these folks one time, they started telling her these superstitions and ghost stories. And turns out she thought that was much more interesting than folk songs. And so she collated these in a book called Blue-Nosed Ghosts. One of the ghost stories that I heard as a kid was of a place called Oak Island. Have you ever heard of Oak Island?
I've heard of it.
Oak Island is a place off the coast of Nova Scotia. Actually, it's off the western shore where my little sister lives. There's a story I can tell at some other point in time. Oak Island was discovered in 1795. A teenager named Daniel McGinnis saw basically a hole in the ground. He started digging in it. And the story goes from there. Where'd my mouse go? There's a great website called Atlas Obscura. Has the story of the Oak Island website, or the Oak Island. People have been digging on that rock for 200 years now because something is down there.
I think there was a TV show.
Oh, there's been several. Yeah, there's
been channels. Yeah.
There's one TV show called the Curse of Oak Island.
Yeah.
There's been a couple of movies about it, a couple of documentaries about it. When you're a kid in Nova Scotia, everyone knows about Oak Island. There were ghosts on the island, Blackbeard's ghost or Captain Kidd's ghost or whatever it might be. Rumors have been about everything from Captain Kidd and Blackbeard's ghost to Marie Antoinette's jewels to the Ark of the Covenant is down there. It's just insane. Well, because somebody built something down there. When they started digging, they found coconut shelves. Coconuts don't grow in Nova Scotia. Someone had to bring the coconuts there. Mm-hmm. They're coconut husk shelves. There are other shelves, other wood down there that doesn't come from Nova Scotia that someone brought there. I think about 100 years ago, somebody found a link of gold chain, and that made everyone go just insane. Hunk of gold. There are tunnels that are designed to, when you get too deep, to flood the hole that you just dug.
Oh, so it's like a booby trap.
Booby trapped. Mm. So why would you booby trap an empty hole? Maybe you would booby trap an empty hole to distract people from something else. But it's a really interesting story. Oh, wow. I posted this to Loop, and I wrote that it's really interesting, not for the treasure, but for the looking for the treasure. Mm. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the President of the United States, was involved in an Oak Island treasure hunt. Mm. Elvis was involved in Oak Island treasure hunt. It's really kind of weird how many people have been involved. If you have a chance to read the story, it's really interesting. If you have a chance to read more about Oak Island, please do. It's a wonderful little legend of my home province of Nova Scotia. Folks, that's it for tonight. Well, thanks very much for you guys for being tuned in. This is an abbreviated show, and hopefully you understand why it was a bit abbreviated. As I get more practice talking, we'll go to the longer shows. We will have Jim Downpour from the Loop on next week. We'll make sure we'll get him back on the show next week, and we're back into our regular groove on next week's show. So until then, as always, I want to say thanks to you guys very, very much for being here tonight. As always, she's been
Kim.
And I've been Shawn King, and you've been listening to Your Mac Life. See ya!